Hello everyone! Welcome back to the stream. Today we will be picking up where we left last time. But before we do that, we'll probably take a quick look at what we did last time so that everybody who's new to the stream knows what this is about. And then we can get started. So I hope everybody's having a good time. Everybody had a good day so far. Maybe it's the beginning of your day. Maybe it's the end. For me, it's almost the end. So after this, I'll probably just turn off the machine and then maybe grab a book and enjoy the rest of the evening. So while we're waiting for people to file in, maybe you can say hello and tell me what you're looking forward to the most. And oh, and also, I thought it might be a good idea if people left comments about what they want to see next, right? There is still a bunch of things that we can do, and I am curious what you would like to see me cover next. And with that, let's switch to the live view. Here we are. And let's quickly take a look at what we did last time. So what we worked on last time was a share extension. And let's see if this still works. So I'm in my Safari browser, and when I click on this button here, we should see a dialog pop up. So it might be a little bit slow because many reasons. Oh, there we go. That's the first reason. So let me quickly double check a couple of things. So I'm on the latest beta. We should probably use a different simulator. So iPhone 16 Pro, iOS 18.4. Let's clear this and let's run this again. Actually, let me run the main application first. And this also gives me the opportunity to clear up the space a little bit so you can see what's happening. All right. Okay, well, this is going to be fun. Oh my goodness, what is this? Hey, Lars. Hi from Hamburg to Hanover. Okay, so let's give this one more try. So why is it still using that? I did tell it to use the other one. Oh, because it's a different target, of course. Okay, let's run again. Okay, so while we're waiting for the compiler, let me quickly double check that we are in the correct project here. So this is our file store database with all our documents. And this is still building. Hopefully the simulator will start up soon. And this machine is very busy. So busy, I can't even open this monitoring app here. Yep. Okay, so simulator should have started up by now. Here we go. Which one is which? This one. it's a good opportunity to have a drink. All right, so here we go. Yep, so this is looking good. Let's go back and now launch our share extension. Make sure this is using the same simulator. I'm going to terminate the application, and now I'm going to launch the share extension. And this needs to run in the context of another app. I'm using Safari so that this extension will be executed inside of Safari, and Safari can use the extension to share something into our application. So let's find something that is interesting for most people. Let's go to Donny Wall's page again, because I think he's got a bunch of interesting stuff at the moment. How about, I think this is a nice one. Solving main actor isolated property cannot be referenced from a sendable closure. We've all been there. So let's click on this button, and then I see my share sheet, and in here I've got Sophia, the application we're working on. So click here, and now we see the dialog that we implemented last time. Actually, it's not a dialog that we implemented, but it's a dialog that is provided by Apple. It's provided by the system. So that's nice. And it does a lot of things. So one of the things is that it automatically pulls a preview image, which is really nice. And it works for any sort of website, right? So oftentimes when you look at a website, it will use an open graph image, and that is pretty useful. So let's take a quick look how this works. Open graph verifier, I think. opengraph.xyz, that's the one I was looking for. So if you use this website, you can basically, let's take Donny's article, so donnywalls.com, and now let's take the same article, this one here, let's copy it and then paste it into this site here, and let's verify what the open graph image will be. And you can see that Donny has gone through the pain of creating a custom image for all of his blog posts. So we see his logo in the background, and then on the foreground he's rendered the title, which is a good idea. It's very efficient because you don't have to create a new image for every single blog post you create. And you can see that depending on where you share this link, it will look slightly different. And this page here, opengraph.xyz, is really useful for verifying that you're doing the right thing if you're running a blog or any other kind of website, because it shows you how your preview images will look like if people post your blog posts on social media. And you want your blog posts to look good no matter where people share them. But if we look back at what this dialog here does, it shows this other image here, and you will notice that this is basically a rendering of how the website looks like. So this will probably also work for any website that doesn't even have an open graph image. So I don't know how to come up with anything that doesn't have open graph. Let's see, let's just, oh, interesting. What is this? Oh yeah, so Swift, the finance protocol. Let's see if they have an open graph image. what's happening. Let's try this again. So I don't know, maybe they don't, or this is just very, very slow. Apparently they don't. Okay, so let's try this in the simulator. So let's go to their website. Ah, interesting. So the Open Graph website had a timeout. Let's try this. Okay, so yeah, you can see, well, there are a couple of things to see here. So first of all, because we have this movie in the background, it is apparently pretty difficult for Safari to take a snapshot of that and render it in this preview. So let's see this again. Oh, no, it has finished. Okay, so maybe it's just very slow. And then this is quite random. So if I were the webmaster, I would probably try to come up with something more exciting here, saying something like the homepage of Swift, the financial protocol website, or something like that. But yeah, so the bottom line is this share view controller here tries to extract information from the website, and it grabs a snapshot of how the website looks like at the moment, and it doesn't use Open Graph for that. So we want to use Open Graph. We want to extract more information than just the title. So that is what we will work on. And another thing that I want to show you before we go into the implementation, we want to reuse a dialog that we already have. So in the application, we already have this plus button here. And when I click the plus button, you will see this dialog, and I can paste the URL here and it will resolve that. So let's take this one, let's paste it. So it will now use an Open Graph library to extract all of those details here and display them here. So that is what we want to use in the share extension. And we've got a couple more folks on the stream. Hello and welcome. Welcome back. Hello, Carter. Hello, Franklin. It's good to see you. So let's go and write some code. So we've got our share view controller here. As I showed you last time, this whole space is not very well documented, right? There is not much documentation that Apple provides because share sheets are very old. This is technology that is a couple of years old, and as we all know, there is always new and exciting stuff that you need to focus on, and all the effort goes into all of the new stuff, so people don't spend much time documenting the old stuff or bringing it up to date. It's a constant struggle. On the Firebase team, we also need to decide what kind of which parts of our documentation we want to update and which parts are maybe no longer that relevant, and which we might have to leave as is and wait for people to say, well, can you please update this? It's really important and it's hard to understand. So it's a struggle. But some people have gone through great pains to document this, and I showed this article last time, this one here. So I think this is the most recent, most up-to-date article that talks about how to implement share extensions with custom UI and SwiftUI. And it is by Henry, who's created this amazing, I want to say note-taking app, but it's not a note-taking app, it's a thought-taking app. So if you come across an interesting quote somewhere, you can highlight that and then add it to the application. And let's take a quick look at this thing here, at this movie. Okay, so here is a custom dialog. It's very quick. Okay, let's watch it one more time. So here he selected a quote, shares it into the application. This is a custom dialog, and then he adds some more details, and then he goes into the application, and you can see this quote, right? So, and down here, Henry shows how to implement this, this SwiftUI dialog, and he shows how to implement a simpler dialog as to not distract people from what's really important. So I thought we could just, follow along, if you will, and see which changes we need to make in order to update our application to make use of this. So this part we already did last time. So adding the share extension target to your project, that we already did. And you can see the UI, and here is the UI, the built-in UI. And because in Henry's application, he's sharing text and not a URL, there is no preview image, right? Because the text is all that you're sharing. So the next step is to set an activation rule, and because Henry uses text, that requires him to use the NX extension activation supports text attribute. But for us, it's going to be a different one. And let me see, I think I took a note somewhere. I did not. Okay, so I'll have to figure it out as we go, apparently. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Lars is wondering why my simulator is faster this time than it was last time. So the only thing that I really changed is I updated to Xcode 18. I always forget the numbers, to the latest beta. So this is Xcode 16.3 beta 4. Just downloaded earlier today, and fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. I live on the bleeding edge. Okay. We'll figure out the activation rule as we go. I think I might have chosen a very, very, very lenient activation rule. Let's see. Yeah. So this activation rule here says it's always going to be activated no matter what kind of what kind of details you're sharing. So that is probably not the right thing to do, right? Because for some of the data, our application will not do the right thing. For example, you can easily share an image, for example, from the Photos app, and our application is not equipped to handle photos. So before going to production, we should choose something that's more meaningful. But for now, this is good because it means that no matter what we share, this dialog will always trigger. Good. So what's the next step? Prepare the project to show your own UI. So the next thing that we need to do is to use a different controller. So let me move this up here, and I think you can still see it. So at the moment, we're using the share view controller. Okay. So we're using the share view controller implements SL Composer or inherits SL Compose Service View Controller. So instead of doing that, we will, so let me first rename it, and then we will implement a UI view controller. Anybody here who has built stuff using UIKit? Do you remember? Also, do you remember view.load? hello. Well, we've got UI kit. Why does it not? Oh, view did load. There we go. And yes, so view did load is the method that will be called when your view has been loaded, and we can, well, we will need to do a lot of work here. And the first thing is to invoke the super, the same method in the super class. So to make sure that all the initialization is correct. Cool. So what do we do next? So okay, so the next thing is to delete our storyboard, because we don't need a storyboard anymore. And then we need to tell the operating system what is the name of the class that it needs to launch. So, and that is in the NS extension principal class attribute, and we need to provide the name of the class, and it needs to be prefixed. So here's the name of the class, and it needs to be prefixed with the name of the target. So the name of our target is Sophia share extension. I'll copy that. Go back into the plist file and paste this here, and there we go. And we can probably also remove this entry here, which points to the storyboard file. So away. Good. So access the shared data. So now the next step that happens is, and you might remember this, so after calling the super method, we will use the extension context, which basically gives us access to what the user selected, and then look at the input items and iterate over them, and then find the first item that is a specific type of attachment. So all of the stuff that you share is an attachment. So for example, you might, in an application, you might select a piece of text, and the application might decide to send you the text as plain text and as a rich text. And then on the receiving end, the receiving application can decide if it's capable of using the rich text, and if so, it can take the rich text and paste it into, for example, a text editor. And if it doesn't, if it's not able to handle rich text, it can then take the plain text attachment and paste that plain text attachment. And that is why we have a number of input items and attachments here. So you might remember that we already did this before. So let's look at this piece of code here. So this is very similar to what we see in Henry's article. So we get this input item, then we iterate over it, we go over the attachments, and then we look at the type, and once we see it's a URL, we extract the URL. So we need to rearrange this a little bit, and because this is pretty complicated code and I don't want to really waste a lot of time, what I'll do is I'll use Alex to rewrite that for me. So Sonnet, and then I'm going to select this piece of code here, and then I'm going to tell Alex to convert this for me. Please convert this to a function that retrieves the first URL and returns it as a string, maybe. Yeah, as a string. Bam. Yep, okay, so here we go. Retrieve first URL. It's an async function. It will optionally return a string. And this is looking good, so let's apply this. Oops, what's going on? That is interesting. Why did it do that? Oh, I might have an idea. Okay, here we go. So, and we'll take this, and because we don't need this here, but we need this in our new class, I'll just paste it here. Okay. Cool. So now what we can do is we can invoke this here. If let URL equals retrieve first URL, let and if there is no URL, we'll just bail out. And also close the dialog. And for this, we need another piece of code, which we'll also pick from the from this previous implementation. So let's take a quick look. Yeah, so I think it's this one. So let me add a new function, func close, and in it we will call complete request, and that will close the dialog. So if there is no URL, we will close the dialog. Cool. So what next? Okay, so next we need to initialize Firebase, because our dialog does a couple of things. So first of all, it takes that URL and then it uses a service, the metadata retrieval service, to analyze the web page, take the URL, send it to the metadata service. That will analyze the web page and return all the details about the web page, like the title, the author, reading time, and so on and so forth. And this will be filled into the dialog. So that is something that the dialog uses, but we need to have access to this metadata service. So that's one thing. And the other thing is, once you tap on Add, the dialog will then use the Firestore service that we implemented to write this back into the database. So let's take a quick look at this dialog. It's called add artifact dialog. And you can see that here it retrieves the metadata service from the environment. And let's find the place where the user taps on the add button. So when the user taps on add, we will call add artifact. And that will, first of all, update all the metadata attributes of the artifact, and then it will add the artifact to the artifact store, and the artifact store is an artifact Firebase store, and we retrieve that from the environment as well. Okay. So, and that is why we need both the artifact Firebase store and the metadata service, and we need to inject them into this add artifact dialog. So let's first initialize Firebase. So Firebase app.configure, and after that we will initialize our services. Oh, this is nice. Let's just copy this. And that will be artifact Firebase store. And let's see. I think, let's see how we initialize this in the main application. Yeah, like this. Yep. And then for the metadata service, we'll just copy this. Cool. So we've got Firebase configured. We've got our artifact store. We've got our metadata service. And now we can instantiate our add artifact dialog. So that view equals add artifact dialog, and this will probably not compile because that dialog is not part of our target. So you might remember last time we had a couple of files that were not accessible. Oh, that's interesting. So maybe I already did that. So last time we had a couple of files that were not accessible inside of our extension here. And that was because they were not part of the target. So let's have a quick look at that and see what we did here. Oh, that's really interesting. So this should basically, so the add artifact dialog is a member of the Sophia target, but it's not a member of the Sophia share extension. So for now, we'll just leave it as is and just see what happens. It should give us a compile error. Anyway. So now we will inject our services into the environment. So the artifact store and then the metadata service. Cool. It's sometimes, you know, Xcode is a funny tool. I'm sure there is something that we forgot because it shouldn't be compiling, it should complain. Let me, you know, we are here. Oh, what is this? Are we even in the right file? See, that is what's happening. Interesting. So this file apparently is part of something else, but why did it open this one and where does it live? So, right, because this is the share view controller, the real one, because you can see that it's selected. And this one, if I, you know, usually you can, there is a, you can say Command-Shift-J and it will highlight the file in the outline here. And for here, it goes into the outline, but this one, it doesn't go into the outline. So this file is from somewhere else, and I have a suspicion that Alex somehow got confused and opened the wrong file. And that is also the reason why, you know, you remember how it opened up two additional windows? I think that was the problem there. it did open the file from somewhere else. So probably that is from a previous session somewhere. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy all this new code here and then paste it into the file that actually belongs to our project over here. Okay. And then close this, and I am probably going to be very, very surprised tomorrow when I go back into a different version of this code and it doesn't compile anymore. Okay, and now we have a couple of issues here. So now this needs to be overridden, and this is an asynchronous call. And let's close Alex here for a moment. Let's fix those problems. So first of all, so let's do this. And because we are not in a concurrent context, let's do this. Okay. Right, and now it says, I can't find add artifact dialog. And now we can add it to our target. Nice. So let's compile. Ooh. Yeah. So this needs to be renamed. Okay, so this is another issue that we need to fix by adding the respective file to our target. So a while back, I implemented a task modifier that is capable of debouncing, and this is in a utility class somewhere. This one. So let's add this to our extension as well. And compile. So build succeeded. Great. Okay, so we've got our dialog, but we still need to present it. And to do that, we will use a UI hosting view controller. So let hosting view controller equals UI hosting controller, and we need to provide a root view, and the root view in our case is this add artifact view. So we'll use that. And what is the problem? Import SwiftUI. So the UI hosting controller is part of SwiftUI, and it is intended to help you integrate SwiftUI and UIKit. So it says create a UI hosting controller object when you want to integrate SwiftUI views into a UIKit view hierarchy. At creation time, specify the SwiftUI view you want to use as a root view for this view controller. You can change that view later using the root view property. Use the hosting controller like you would any other view controller by presenting it or embedding it as a child view controller in your interface. And that is what we're going to do. So self.present, and then the hosting view controller animated, and we don't need no completion. Let me double check my notes. I think that should be all. So let's try running this. Yeah, so it'd be interesting to know if the reason why this is faster now is because Apple removed a bunch of debugging code, right? So, I mean, that is typically what I think is happening in towards the later cycles of the beta cycle. Let's go. Aha! And I was about to say, and let's see if the network stack holds up. It apparently doesn't. Well, well, well. I think are really oh, there we go. No idea. Okay, let's take this one, share this, and now let's see if our dialog appears. Ta-da! Here we go. That is amazing. Yeah, I'm really happy to see this. But so there are a couple of things that are not working as intended. So let me run this again and explain what is happening. So I tap on the share button, I select the app, and our dialog appears. Now, let's take a look at the code that's behind the cancel button. So add artifact dialog. Here's our cancel button, and here is dismiss. So dismiss is the dismiss action we pull from the environment, and here it is, and it will close the dialog. So earlier today, I was trying to fix this very problem, and while looking for should this work or shouldn't this work, I came across a really good article by Natalia. So let's find it. Dismiss action. Here we go. Using the dismiss action from the SwiftUI environment. So you've probably used the dismiss action before, and it seems like such a small thing, right? It seems like, oh yeah, you can use it to dismiss a SwiftUI dialog, for example, a sheet or a full screen layover or something like that. But it's very, very flexible. So here, for example, you see that it's being used on a sheet. And then here's the example for sheets and popovers. Popping views from the navigation stack. That also works. So imagine you've got a navigation stack and you're drilling down, and then you're on one of the you're a couple of drill down levels deep, and you tap on something and you run the dismiss action back and pops one level. So that is pretty cool. And then dismissing UI hosting controller from SwiftUI. And that is exactly our situation. So, and here it says we can even use the dismiss action provided in the SwiftUI environment to dismiss a UI hosting controller presented from UIKit. And let's look at the example. So here's the view controller. Here's a function that is used to present this UI hosting controller, and it is very similar to what we do. So let's take a look. right? So we have the UI hosting controller. This is here. And then we present it just like here. And here's the dismiss button, which is on the view. And that view is this one here, and it's here, and it's here, right? So this is exactly our setup. So it should work. Let me show you it doesn't work. So let me tap on cancel. It will, when I tap on cancel, it will call the dismiss action. Bam. So the dialog went down, but I can still interact with the UI, right? So I can probably kill the application, but that's not what I want. So, and this is the problem here, right? So the share sheet is still in the state of waiting for the whole process to end. And we need to call this complete request call here when our dialog disappears. So we need to do that. So when I initially implemented that, what I did was I implemented a callback on add artifact dialog, right? So basically what I did was I added another trailing closure to the initializer, and that took basically a void parameter and return a void return result. And that would allow you to register code that would that we could run when the user tapped on something, right? So I take that closure, store it locally in the add artifact dialog, and then when the user taps on cancel or on add, I will call that closure, and then the closure can do something, right? So it would probably look something like that. So let's like this, right? So that is how the call side used to look like. But today I thought, there is a better way to do this. And that is on disappear. So why does this work? Well, the dialog does disappear, and then we can tell the share sheet to also please close. Let's take a look. All right, so let's bring up the simulator. Still building. Here is Safari. Open the share sheet, open our dialog, and now let's click on cancel. Boom, it's gone. And I can continue interacting with my window, and I can reopen this the dialog here. Okay, so far so good, but the URL is not injected into our view, and this is one final change that we need to make. So let's go to the add artifact dialog, because what we want to do is we want to parse the URL here. Let's go to the add artifact dialog, and then let me add another parameter here. The URL, and I think we said it was going to be a string, and because we call this dialog from elsewhere, and when the user taps on the plus button, and we don't want to pass in a URL in that case. So what we'll do is we'll say this is going to be optional, and if it's not provided, it will be nil. Cool. So now what we need to do is we need to initiate our artifact. So let me copy this entire thing here and do the initialization in our initializer. And instead of passing an empty URL, we'll say URL. And if that is empty, it will be an empty string. Let's run this. And now, because we're monitoring we're monitoring the artifact, this will automatically update. So, oh yeah, I should tell which type this is. And let's try this. Sophia, and ooh, what is this? Ah, of course, I forgot to actually pass this in. Here we are. And where is the URL? It's over here. One more time. And open the share sheet. Here we go. Right? So it passes in the URL because we're monitoring the state. It will kick off the metadata retrieval process, extract the title, the site name, the author name, and an excerpt. And let's bring up our Firebase console here. Let's see. Okay, so everything's here. Let's click somewhere to make sure it's listening. And now I'll click on Add. And here we go. So here is our new article that we added using the share sheet, using our beautiful Add Artifact dialog. And we should be able to see it in the application. We should. Why not? Is the application not listening anymore? Let's run it. Yep, that's fine. Maybe it's the wrong user. Yeah, I imagine it might be the wrong user. Let's see, what's the user ID? PM something. Okay, so let's oh yeah. So this is probably an anonymous user. Cool. So let's see. Oh no, it is this user. Okay. Did we, last time, did we make sure to set up authentication correctly? So that might be a problem. Let's take a look into our artifact. Well, you know, it's a hard-coded one. That is why. Okay. Let me sign in. That is interesting. Let's run again. Okay, let's give this another try. Let's go back to Safari and let's pick a different blog post. Let's pick a different blog post. I said we're gonna pick a different blog post, but apparently ooh, Swift concurrency course, that is interesting. Let's try this. Okay, here we go. Let's monitor our database. Okay, can we get this slightly bigger? Okay, that should be large enough. Add. And it's here. Now back to the application. Okay, here it is. Okay, cool. So apparently the sorting is not correct, because I would have expected this to show up at the very top, and you can see that the sorting is kind of off. But yeah, that is something that we can fix later. Okay, cool. So we were able to share our data from the share sheet into our application directly, storing it into Firestore. Okay, so let's go back and look at the code that we wrote. So first of all, let me just throw away everything that we don't need anymore. And here we go. So minus the 17 lines of header comment, this is, all right, so it's roughly 60 lines of code that we needed in order to implement this, which is not too bad. So the key points are to instantiate your SwiftUI view, inject it into a UI hosting controller, then present that UI hosting controller, and very important, listen to when your view disappears, and then making sure that you call the complete request on the extension context so that your share sheet closes and you get back to the hosting application. Yes, yeah, thanks Lars for watching out. Yeah, it's actually already in the list. It's it's always so surprising how complicated it is. It's, you know, do you guys remember when your teacher asked you to, can you please come up and do this really simple math exercise on the whiteboard or on the blackboard, and you, for the life of yourself, you know, couldn't spot the mistake that you made. It's like that when you're giving a presentation or running a live stream as well. You can't see the forest before the trees. But yeah, it might have been in the list already. But it seems like it's not, right? So this is a different one. Enums explain, and this is Swift concurrency calls. Everything is concurrency at the moment. So easy to mix them up, definitely. Awesome, cool. That was what I wanted to show you today. Before I let you go, please let me know what you would like to see me cover next time, or the time after that. I plan on keeping doing these. However, please be aware that with Google I/O and Cloud Next coming up, there might be weeks when I'm super busy and I might not be able to run this, but it will keep on continuing. So I think as long as people get something out of it, and as long as it's fun for me, we'll just keep on doing this. I really enjoy it, and the fact that you keep on returning tells me that you seem to be enjoying it as well. Yes, so Lars reminds us that last week you had the idea to split the project into packages. Definitely, and I think that would definitely be a good thing, because we've seen so many times today and last time how cumbersome it was that our classes and structs were, not in the right place, right? So it feels wrong to just add them to a different target like that. So yeah, let's do that. Let's do packages next time. Cool. Thanks everybody. Thanks for joining. Enjoy the rest of your day or the rest of your evening, wherever you are, and I will see you next week. Bye.